Hello everyone, this is Nizam Mahmood. Welcome to my video. In this video, we'll discuss Unix operating system. There will be multiple video in these topics, Unix Bootcamp Part 1 and Unix Bootcamp Part 2. In this specific video, Unix Bootcamp Part 1, we will discuss overview of operating system, overview of Unix operating system, how to install and configure Unix machine, and then finally, we'll practice most useful Unix commands and utilities that is used in our day-to-day IT practice. So let's start. So let's talk about what is overview of the operating system. As we know, operating system is the interface between user and machine. Operating system translate human language into machine understandable language so that computer understand and execute the programs. If you go a little technical on this part, as we know that computer language is binary language, in other words, we call digital language. That means computer understand only the 0 and 1. So operating system acts here as a kind of a compiler so that the human language is now translated into that machine language. Here, operating system acts just like a manager. It manages all the available resources such as CPU, memory, hard disks, and as well as the application that running on that system. So as a very high level, there are 4 functionalities or capabilities of an operating system. Number 1, operating system control all the hardwares. And number 2, all the application running on the top of that system or on the top of that operating system, those applications also control and managed by operating system. And number 3, manage data and files. So in every operating system, we have a folders, we have a file, and those folder and file, the framework, all those framework is managed and controlled by operating system as well. As an example, how to create a folder, how to delete a folder, the navigation system, copy, remove, all those like a day-to-day activities also managed by operating system. And finally, the security. So security, as we know, the security is one of the integral part of the operating system. Operating system helps to implement and maintain the security. Operating system ensure all the network traffic must be authenticated and authorized, so that we cannot log into a system without provide the user ID and password. So that user ID and password must be authenticated by the operating system. File permission, access to that resource are controlled by the operating system as well. As an example, that when we create a folder, when you create a file within that system, it is not available for all the employees of the organization. Somebody has read access, somebody has read and write access, somebody might not have any access. So those all security related activities also managed by operating system. So now question is that what is about Unix? So Unix definitely an operating system. If we look at our day-to-day activities, you can see that we are familiar with Windows operating system. We are familiar with the Apple Macintosh operating system. We are familiar with the Unix operating system as well. But compared to this Unix, Apple and Unix and Windows, Unix operating system actually developed and introduced long earlier than Windows and Apple Mac. So you can say like around 1960, Unix operating system was developed by the scientist, and since then it is still continuing. That development process is continuing here. So as I mentioned earlier, that compared to Windows and Apple, Unix actually very older operating system. And so the characteristics of Unix operating system, that it is multi-user. That means multiple user can log in to the Unix system simultaneously. So that's why it is called multi-user. Multitasking, that means multiple program can be run on the Unix system in parallel. So it is a very important feature that it is user supported, multitasking, and the shell scripting. So shell scripting is the one. This is the one of the major reason why Unix introduced in the 1960s. Because at that time the intention was to create some programs using the Unix operating system. And at that time the C language, the backbone of Unix, it was C language. And since then, the developers developed so many thousands of millions of applications / program, that program running on the top of the Unix operating system. So Unix has a very strong programming capabilities. So a developer or programmer wrote so many programs and take the advantage of the Unix programming capability. So today's we in the IT point of view, we very much familiar terminology called Unix shell scripting. So Unix provide a very robust, powerful syntax so that developer can use those capabilities to develop a shell script. And of course, the security. So compared to other like Windows and Apple, I believe Unix has much stronger security mechanism by default. And it is portability. That means Unix can run from one platform to another platform. So once we develop a Unix program, or let's say the development environment, whatever we have done, we easily can copy or all the context or even the whole image from development environment to production environment, or from one platform to another platform. This is also another great feature of the Unix operating system. And Unix also support like a CLI, command line interface, as well as GUI, graphical user interface. So if you look at the Windows that we are familiar, Windows is definitely it is a GUI, graphical user interface. That means we just log in, and then we use our mouse, left click, right click. Navigation system is very much easy for every user. But on the other hand, Windows also have a command line interface called DOS. So if we type DOS, and it will open a command line interface, and we type the command, and then do our day-to-day activities. Similarly, Unix also has GUI and CLI interface as well. But to be honest, in the real world point of view, whenever we talk about Unix, it is always CLI. It is very rare use case that we'll be using the graphical user interface of Unix, because Unix meant for CLI. So that means if I want to become a subject matter expert of Unix, we definitely be very strong about CLI interface, and all the related commands and utilities will be executing using the CLI. So CLI is one of the major topics in this video. And so one other thing is the CLI characteristics, that Unix command, when you type the command, it is actually case sensitive. All the commands must be typed in the lowercase. Like I believe all the commands, all the commands must be typed in the lowercase. In some cases, maybe some commands or maybe some syntax parameters uppercase, but mostly it is lowercase. So whenever you type any Unix command, always keep in mind that it must be lowercase. Okay, now about the Unix types. So we are familiar, there are two types of Unix types. One is proprietary or license version of Unix, and open source version of Unix. So proprietary, like it is owned by some company or some vendor. As an example, like IBM is a company, and they have their own version of Unix called AIX. Similarly, Oracle is a company or vendor. They have their own vendor of a Unix system called Solaris. So these are the two major licensed version of Unix system that use in the real world perspective. And mostly, the database program running on the top of those Unix operating system. DB2, Oracle, this type of database running on the top of this AIX or Solaris operating system. On the other hand, there are another type of Unix we call Unix-like or Unix type. So it is not really exactly apple to apple of Unix. It is that's why we call Unix type. And these are open source. That means there is no license version here. Mostly it is free. We can download from internet. And there are also different flavor on this community, like Red Hat, Debian, Ubuntu. Nowadays, Ubuntu is very, very familiar. I mean, famous. Most of the project or most of the organization use Ubuntu as a backbone of their project. And we'll discuss later more about this thing. But now, as a high level, as you can see, there are two type of Unix operating system. Like one is licensed versus open source. Right. So in this video series, we'll be talking the open source, of course, because we do not have a licensed version here. Okay, so now let's talk about the Unix architecture, the how actually Unix built up. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this session, that operating system act as an interface between user and machine. And machine means hardware, like a CPU, memory, hard disks, right? Network card, etc. So these hardware must be controlled by the operating system. So this is one of the characteristics or capability of operating system, right? So the kernel is the layer where operating system keeps all the files and utility to manage that hardware. So in other words, we can say kernel is the layer of the operating system where operating system keeps all the hardware, all the commands or utilities to manage that hardware. That layer is called kernel. On the top of kernel, there is another layer called shell. So shell is the layer where mostly all the commands are sitting in this layer. So as we, as a user, communicate with the operating system computer, the shell is the layer where it keeps all the commands. How we can communicate with the system? We type the commands. So all those commands within a layer of the operating system called shell. And on the top of the shell, application is running. So that means, there are so many types of like a FTP application, SMTP application, the Apache Tomcat application. There are hundreds of applications like this. Those applications running on the top of the shell. So basically kernel, shell, and application, and then finally the user. User, like we human, communicate with the operating system through the shell, and then shell communicate with the kernel communicate with the hardware. That's the way the architecture is designed. So it is not only Unix, if you compare with any other operating system, almost same idea that it has high level, it has kernel, shell, and application. Okay, so this is so now what about the Unix file system? As you are familiar in the Windows, so let's say if we go to the Windows C drive here, and as you can see, these are, when you install Windows on a computer, you see there are some built-in folder there. As an example, here, program files, program file 86. Then there is a folder called user. There is a folder called Windows. These folders are like a directory automatically created by during the installation process. It's part of the operating system. We or network administrator didn't create these folders. It is automatically done by the operating system. So that's what we call, sometimes we call system built-in folders or directories. So similar like this, Unix also has built-in this type of directories or folders. As an example, in Unix, the top level we call root. So in Windows, it is called C, like a C drive, D drive, like a root level. And in Unix system, it is started with a slash, that means root. And under root, there is lots of built-in folder, as you can see here, the bin folder, dev folder, Unix folder, leaf folder, etc folder. So etc is kind of a very important folder. It is similar like Windows folder in Windows. Again, in the C drive, as you can see, there is a folder called Windows. And under Windows, there are so many other subfolders. And each of these subfolder contains so many files related to operating system. So same idea. Unix also has some built-in folder. When you have any Unix system, when you log in, you will see most of this folder is already there. That means it is part of the installation process. It is already built up by the operating system. Okay, so I think we understand about what is about operating system, what is about the Unix operating system. So now question is that how we can install and configure a Unix system on our computer so that we can practice the Unix command and utility that we use in our day-to-day IT practice. Well, there are multiple ways we can have a Unix system. So option one, very popular and traditional method, that we can install a virtual machine on the top of our Windows laptop. So virtualization technique is a very famous technique over the last 10, 15 years. That means on the top of one physical machine, I can build multiple virtual machines. But to do this thing, I need a virtualization software. So there are so many types of virtualization software is available. Like Oracle has a software called Oracle VirtualBox. Another company called VMware, they have their VMware like a workstation software. Then even Microsoft has a virtualization technology called Microsoft Hyper-V. So using this, either Oracle VirtualBox or Hyper-V or VMware, or there are so many other type of software also available. Using those virtualization software on the top of a Windows, like a physical machine, like I have a laptop, I have a desktop, or I have a server. On the top of that physical server, I can easily build multiple virtual machine. And so let's say virtual machine 1, install Ubuntu Unix, virtual machine 2, I can have maybe Red Hat, etc. So it shared the physical resource. Let's say when I say physical resource, what does it mean? That means my physical machine has CPU, I have a memory, I have a hard drive. So this is the three most important component will be used by the virtual machine. So when I install a virtual machine, I have to be little carefully like how much memory I have, how much like a hard drive I have, and what is my CPU cap. Like it is a 4-core, 8-core CPU, right? So these all matters during the installation of a virtual machine using virtual technology. And it is very widely used, as I mentioned. But then option two, very recently, probably last 2-3 years, Microsoft actually introduced a new features, and that new feature really, really very helpful. Without having a virtualization, we can easily build and configure a Unix machine on our Windows system, and that is called WSL. So WSL, it is actually Windows subsystem for Linux. That is the abbreviation, Windows subsystem for Linux. It is a feature of Microsoft. So Microsoft, if you have Windows 10 or Windows 11 laptops or desktop, then easily you can configure this WSL on your system. And using that WSL feature, we can easily build a Unix machine. So this is also definitely the new kind of technology innovation. And that also telling all of us one common story, that is Unix is a very useful and needed operating system in the real world. Right? So that's why even Microsoft now realize, and that's why Microsoft is kind enough, they come forward and giving their customer and that, okay, if you want to have Unix for your development purpose or for your project purpose, you can have Unix that running on the top of Windows system. So this is called WSL. Great feature. I must say we should explore this feature for sure. And then option number 3, the cloud. We can easily install and build and provision and configure a Unix machine on AWS cloud or Microsoft Azure cloud. Either one, we can do it. And I also highly recommend to explore that option as well, because technology is evolving, and now it is now, let's say, like a 23, 24, and we are now heading out to the next 4-5 years. What will be the technology innovation? Most of the corporation, most of the organization, they migrated their IT infrastructure to the cloud. right? So if you really want to be a subject matter expert on any technology related to IT, you must focus on cloud. So we talk about DevOps, like every project now is a DevOps, every project now agile model, and everything is a virtual, like a cloud-based. So whenever it is cloud-based, um, it is cloud means virtualization, right? There is no physical server. Everything is a virtual for the customer. So if I go to Amazon and then easily build a Unix machine using that Amazon infrastructure, or if I go to Microsoft Azure, similar concept, I can easily build a Azure virtual machine on using Azure virtualization cloud feature. In both scenario, we have to create an account, and during the creation of account, you have to provide your credit card number. So I think this is one of the downside of it. They actually provide the free service here. Like for example, AWS. AWS is a completely 720 hours. They make it free for just learning purpose. So, but during the creation of the account, they are asking you to provide your credit card number. But as I mentioned, and from my experience, I can guarantee you, they will not charge you money if you know how to properly utilize that infrastructure. 720 hours actually it is a lot. It is more than a year, right? You can easily utilize this platform in AWS, and let's say you build a few machine there. Whenever you practice, turn it on, and after your practice is completed, you just turn it off. And to next day, when you turn it on again, let's say you work a couple of hours, and then again turn it off. So if you remember this technique, then 720 hours actually is a lot. And in my case, I can tell you that I have a account in AWS, and over the last probably 5+ years I'm using, and they charged me all together probably $20-$30, and it was my mistake because sometimes I provision a machine and I forgot to turn off. So maybe next 1 week later I realized, oops, one machine is running last 1 week. So for that they charge me a slight money here. But again, as I'm using 720 hours is already over now. So that's why I have to be now, convince myself. I have to be very careful whenever for demo purpose, I provision a machine, I turn it on, do some practice, and then turn it off again. So if I continue like this way, there will be no risk over here for the charging my credit card. Okay, so these are the option available. But in this demo, we'll be using option number 2 and option number 3. So I'll be skipping option number 1 because, as I said, it requires your CPU and memory utilization, and in many cases, you might not have a very powerful laptop. Maybe you have a 4 gig memory, or maybe even less than that. So recommendation that if I want to create a option 1, then the memory should be at least 4 gig or 8 gig, right? And a CPU also like a i7 or i5 type of CPU. So and also we need at least like a good amount of hard disk space. So option 1 I'm skipping, but option 2, as I said, is very recent technology, and I believe it is much easier to configure as well. So WSL, as I said, Windows Subsystem for Linux, it is a feature. So if you go to your Windows system, if you type like a appwiz.cpl, so this is a shortcut command to open a wizard, and this wizard called how many application running on your computer. So in the left side, you can say turn Windows feature on and off, right? So if you click that option, it will show you all the features that either it is already installed or we can install. So just wait a few minutes to populate that chart for us. So over there here, so you can see these are all the checkboxes turned on, means this feature is already installed on my machine. And if you go all the way down, you see there is a option here called Windows Subsystem for Linux. This is called WSL. So in my case, it is turned on because I already installed these features, but in your case, it might not be turned on. So if it is not turned on, you can turn it on, click OK, and it will configure that features for you. But in one point, it will ask you to reboot the system. And once you reboot the system, and it will take another few minutes to complete the configuration part, and that's it. After having these features, then easily you can build a Unix machine on your Windows operating system. So this is like one of the features. So you can comment on this graphical way, but as I mentioned that I always love in the program in the command prompt. So to command prompt, we have to go to command and then using a utility that Windows has a utility called DISM. DISM actually called deployment image services and management. So it is built-in command utilities. Using that utility, we can easily install a feature on our system called DISM. Like a deployment image. D means deployment, I means image, and S means servicing, and M means management. So using this DISM feature, look, DISM slash, DISM.exe, then space slash online space enable dash features. What type of feature? Feature name equal to virtual machine platform. So this is one feature. And the second line called feature name equal to Microsoft dash Windows dash subsystem dash Linux. So this is WSL. So these two features I can easily install on my machine. So I already installed it, but just for the demo purpose, I'm going to show you. So step one, I type CMD, right click, run as administrator. And when I go to my command prompt, I can easily, so what I did, I have a cheat sheet. You don't need to memorize this thing. I'll provide this command in the description section. So here I just copy this command. So look here, DISM. So it is done. It is so quick in my machine, as I mentioned. It is actually, I already completed this part before, so it should not take too much time. Or even, let's say, they might have some newer version, but you see that, no, they didn't find any newer version. So image version 10.0, you see some version number here. And the operation completed successfully, right? So my first command is done. Then I take the second feature, that is WSL. So if I now copy this one, so this is also, in your case, it will take time. It will probably take 3 to 5 minutes or even more. And then in one point, it will ask you to reboot the machine. So in my case, as I mentioned that I already did it, probably it will not ask me any reboot. So let's wait a few more. Probably it will not take more than 1 minute in my case. Here you go. So it is done. So as I mentioned. So now, once I complete these two commands here, so if I type CLS command to clean the screen, now I type WSL, and then let's say dash all list dash online. So I want to see how many like a package Microsoft already installed. I may have it on their Microsoft Store. So Microsoft Store. So if you type on your search option, just type Microsoft Store. So Microsoft Store is a kind of their repository where Microsoft already downloaded some image, a Unix image for us. So it is a Microsoft, just like, as you guys using Apple, like your mobile phone, like you call App Store. It is called Microsoft Store. And here, if we type Ubuntu here, just type Ubuntu. These are the Ubuntu version. This type of image is already available in the Microsoft Store. So now this is graphical, but as we now familiar with the command prompt, I just type here, as you can see, WSL -- list -- online. So it will show you this, okay, these are the image are available. And one of the image, the like Ubuntu -20.04, right? So these are the like a version of Ubuntu is available. So 16, 18, 20. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to, of course, our preference to use the latest version. So it's okay, WSL -- install. dash D and the version of that thing. So before that, you can say, okay, how come I memorize this thing? So if you type WSL dash dash help, I think they have a help section. That is a kind of a manual here. So every command has a manual. So it is not, you don't need to waste your time to memorize all the syntax. It's okay. Help section. For example, now I'm going to install. It give me the idea. Look here, WSL dash dash install minus D and the version, whatever version I want to install. So it is not only Ubuntu. Let's say I'm installing Red Hat, or I want to install like a Kali Linux or anything else. I can easily do it. Okay. So now follow this syntax. So it's okay. WSL minus dash dash install, then minus D. What type of version? So hang on. So maybe I should see the version again. Here you go. So I'm installing this version, right? So WSL dash dash install, then minus D, and then I type Ubuntu and dash 20.04. So make sure here we are not a spelling mistake. It should be exactly the same the way it is designed here. Okay, so here you go. So you see now he is now installing Ubuntu operating system version 20.04 on my Windows system. So this is the beauty, and you can see it will not take too much time. In one point, it might ask, it will open another window for me, and it will ask me the user ID and password, because I have to provide some user ID and password to log into this Unix system. Remember in the previous slide, I showed you that one of the functionality of operating system is security, and security means that it must give you that functionality to authenticate an authorization, right? So that means by default, it must be authenticated. That an authentication and authorization means user ID and password, right? So here you go. You can see the second window open, and it's installing. This may take few minutes, and then in one point, it will be asking, well, here you go. They say enter your Unix username. So I can give any name. So in this case, let's say I type Nizam ADM, Nizam administrator, and the password, I provided password here, and retype the password. Here you go. So now you see the dollar sign. So this is the we successfully install and configure a Unix system on our machine. So this is a great, congratulations. If you come to up to this level, that means you are now able install and configure a Unix system on your Windows machine. Okay, so using the WSL features. So now let's say it is done. So now if you close this, let me close this window. So when I close this window, and let's say that I want to say, okay, where is the Unix on my system? Because it is my Windows system, right? So if you now on your search button, if you just type Ubuntu, you see this is Ubuntu. So now as you can have it here, or you can create a shortcut, or you can create a pin, pin to start, pin to taskbar. So let's say if I click pin to taskbar, it will be always in my taskbar now. So let's say if I want to practice it, I just click this button, it will automatically launch this thing, right? So now when I log in first to the system, and I got a prompt called, you see there is a dollar sign. The dollar sign is exactly the same thing like a C prompt. You see here C something, right? C Windows System 32. It is also similar thing. When I log into the system, it is asking me okay, you are authenticated and you are authorized, but you are a regular user, not an administrative user. You have noticed when I first open CMD, I can open CMD two way. I just double click that button, it opens. So when I open C user some number here, or I can open CMD, right click and run as administrator. So sometimes we need to run as an administrative privilege, right? So administrative privilege means it is the security features that, okay, I want to download a software, I want to configure something, I want to change the behavior of my operating system. and I need an administrative privilege for that. So in Unix, as it is a very robust, like a operating system in terms of security. So here, by default, you are not administrator, you are a regular user. And so $sign means I log in as a regular user. And if I want to convert myself as an administrator, the command is sudo. Sudo means super user. SU means super. So bring me to the as a admin, sudo space -s, and then press enter. It asks you the password again. So I type my password here. And here you go. Now I put a like a kind of a hash value or like a pound sign here, as you can see, the hash sign, right? So this hash symbol, that means Unix is telling us that you are now administrator. So $sign means I logged in as a regular user, and a hash sign or pound sign means I'm logged in, or I converted myself as a root or as a administrator. Okay, but in the look now, if in the real world point of view, think that let's say you join a company, you are a developer, and you need some development work, but you are not administrator. So when you log into that system, you will get always a $sign. That means you are a regular user. But on the other hand, the administrator, a Unix administrator, they can install a software, they can configure some like a configuration related activities. So definitely they need like a administrative privilege. So in the real world, there is a development environment versus production environment. So in the development environment, they might give developers or testers maybe administrative privilege so that you can develop your program. But in production, definitely not, because production will be managed by the production team, and mostly the developers or testers or security officer, they do not have like a admin privilege. So yes, you might have access there, but it is only as a regular user, not as an administrative user. So just it is as a note, it is nice, it is beneficial to memorize the between the real world perspective, non-production versus production. Whatever we are doing in here in this lab, when you join a company, or maybe you already work in the company, is not, you say, hey, why I'm not getting a hash value here? Why I cannot convert sudo space -s is not working? Because you are not administrator on the production system. That is against of the cybersecurity principle, right? Okay, so now finally we got the admin privilege here. Now let's say after the installation, my first step, I have to update my Unix system, because this is an image Microsoft downloaded. We don't know how long. So it is always a best practice. If I say apt-get, so apt-get is Unix Ubuntu command. apt-get, let's say you just type update. So when you type update command, it normally communicate with the internet and try to update whatever update is required. Okay. So he said connecting, here you go. So he's trying to connect, and it might be getting some update message for us. And depending on my operating system internet connectivity, look like it's getting failure. But in your case, probably not, because I did something change here. That's why I'm getting this message. But so always remember that whenever you complete your configuration, I mean the building the machine. So after that, you type apt-get update, and then another command called apt-get upgrade. So update and plus upgrade will make your system up to date. That means you have all the latest version package and all the latest features available to your system. Okay, so this is good. I'm now having WSL here. Okay, so option number 3, can I have build a machine on the cloud? Yes, we can easily develop that system as well. So let's say, first of all, I have to create an account on AWS. I do not prefer Azure, because Azure actually, compared to AWS, it is their licensing model is slightly restricted. you have to, they probably give you $200 equivalent of like a license value here, but it's not 720 hours, right? I always found in my data option expired very soon. So that's why I personally prefer AWS all the time. So if I go to just type AWS in Google, and AWS means Amazon Web Service. So now if you go to here, you can create an account here. So in this case, let's say create a new account and then provide your email address, your name, etc. And then they will verify email address. And after that, you have to provide your full information, like your name, your maybe credit card number, and all those things. And once it is done, you will be now ready to go. So after that, in my case, I already have an account. So let's assume that you already have an account. So you said sign in root user. So I just type my username here. This is my user ID and then my password. So my password, I believe is still I remember. Here you go. So now I just log into my system, right? This is AWS. So within AWS, it's on the top, there is a search option. If I just type EC2 instance, so EC2 is a service provided by Amazon. Using this service, we can create a virtual machine. Okay. So EC means elastic, C means computing system, elastic computing system. So using that services, we can, so there is a, kind of a, what is called like this type of color, right? Orange type of color. So now if I click this EC2 instance, and here on the left side, you see there is an option called instances. If I click this option, and as you can see in my machine, in my case, I have 4 machines that I probably developed for some reason, but all of them instant is equal to stop, as you can see. So always make sure that you use, if you do not use your system, you make it stop. So now I'm going to create a new virtual machine. So what to do? I click virtual instance on the right side is this colored button. And then here, give a name of your machine. So in this case, let's say whatever you like. So let's say you can say Ubuntu 01 or any name. Let's say Ubuntu 550, right? Or you can choose any name of whatever you like. And then in the bottom, you say, okay, what type of operating system you want. So you see they're offering multiple types, right? Even Windows. If I want, I can easily provision a Windows machine here as well. Amazon has their own version of Unix called Amazon Linux, Ubuntu, Red Hat, etc. Right? But in this case, as I mentioned, we'll choose Ubuntu. So I click Ubuntu. And now they say, okay, it is a free tier eligible. That means they are not, they're giving me a minimum hardware, 1 CPU, 1 gig of memory, etc. But that's fine. It is a lab, right? We do not need a powerful machine in this time. And then in the bottom, also it gives you some like a instance type. They call T2.micro. And here they say 1 CPU, 1 gig of memory. As I mentioned, is a very minimum requirement, right? Then the key pair. So here, as the technology improve now, it is not necessarily that we need user ID password all the time. So instead of password, we can using the private key, public key combination. So that's why it is a really very nice features that instead of providing the password, we can use a kind of a token. Using that token, we can log in. But again, like as I mentioned earlier, this is very important feature for an operating system, authentication and authorization. So to complete this process, to authenticate it and authorize, I need to provide username, one parameter, and I need to provide either a password or a token, some kind of token, so that system can authenticate me, and then after that it authorized me, right? So I need a key here. So in this case, I create a new pair, key pair. So if you look here, there are multiple type of key here, like a PAM, private key format, PAM. So I can say, okay, create a PAM file. So you can give a name here. Let's say I can say Ubuntu 50, or whatever the name of your computer, you can use the same name here. But this key is very important. If you lost this key, then you cannot log in anymore. So this Ubuntu 5.0, when you click the create key, it will download this key to your download folder. So if I click, look here, Ubuntu 50.pem. So the extension is .pem. And if I now go to my download folder, it should be somewhere here. Look, this guy, right? So as it is important, what I should do, I should right click, I should cut it, and I keep it somewhere. Let's say in my C drive, I create a folder called, so let's say whatever folder next, okay. I can say, okay, keys, right? And I can keep that PAM file here so that in future, I'll not lost it. I know, okay, this is my PAM file, right? Okay, good. So now in the bottom, so now we create a PAM file now, right? We have a PAM file and that is called Ubuntu 5.0. And now the next section called networking setting. And by default, look, here, you do not need to do anything. You say, okay, by default, Amazon create a group for us. Look, allow SSH traffic from anywhere. That means anywhere in the world, as it is a cloud, and anywhere in the world, I can now log in to my system using SSH protocol. If I want, I can also look, there are two checkboxes here. Allow HTTPS traffic from internet. So that means, if I want to log into the system and I want to browser, I want to go download something. So in this case, I think it's a good practice to click these two checkbox as well. Okay, so this is actually like a network administrative type of work. So, but now the beauty of cloud, you see, let's say I'm a project manager. I have very limited knowledge about computer or IT, but you see, I can easily build a machine because I do not need an administrator. I do not need anybody. I can just follow their like a wizard here, right? So let's go back again. So I've just given a name called Ubuntu 5.0. Then I choose Ubuntu here, operating system. Then here in the key pair, I say, okay, create a new key pair and just give the name. And then from the networking section, I just click these two checkbox. That's it. And I click launch instance. So now, as this instance will be ready within probably, let's say 3 to 4 minutes, it will be done. But even much quicker. So if I now go back to my instance folder and there is a refresh button on the top. So if I click refresh and just wait a few more minutes, it will come back. So you see right now Ubuntu 5.0, right? And Ubuntu 5.0, look here, they say status equal to pending. That means still it is working in the background. And just refresh again. It's still pending. Just wait maybe 1 more minute and it will be. So it will, as I said, it will not take too much time. Very quickly, this server will be ready for us. So this is a cloud-based machine. And using just how many click, probably 5-6 click, I'm able to create a virtual machine on the cloud. And that's the beauty of the cloud computing technology, right? We really do not need too much knowledge or skills to complete these activities. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, why it is important, let's say in the real world today, any project that you will be involved, real world means cloud technology, cloud computation. So cloud technology means it is virtualization. So maybe it is not you, maybe it is you are not part of the cloud team. So someone in the organization create this machine for you. But then it will be always a kind of a question mark for you. Hey, how they create this cloud machine for me? Because people are always afraid of whenever we talk about cloud, people say, oh my goodness, what is this, right? So I found in my experience point of view, a lot of developers, a lot of like a team members, like a project manager, developers, or software tester, etc. These people they are not administrators. So when they join a company, the administrative team, in this case, like cloud team, they develop this machine for them. And they always kind of confusion, okay, how this is happened. But now you see how quickly I develop. So even though it is not my responsibility and I'm not accountable, but now I know how to build a cloud machine, right? It is so simple, so easy just if you know the stuff. So now hang on. So it's still running or no? Why it is not working still? Okay, so Ubuntu. Okay. So now it is running. So it normally doesn't take that much time. You see the it already provide me two IP address, public IP and the private IP. But status equal to still pending. So I have to wait a few more minutes probably. But as I mentioned, in this case, it should be very, very quickly. It should not be that much time. Okay. So now you see that this public IP, I have to keep it in my notepad or somewhere because I need this IP address. So let's open a notepad and keep it there. This is the IP address 3.89.199.225. But let's say in the real world, of course, in the real world means every organization has their own private network. So if I work in, let's say in X company, they have their own private network. So in this case, this will be private IP, not a public IP, because it is now open from internet. Definitely, we do not want that my server is open to everybody in the internet. You see, there is anywhere and everybody, right? So that's not a good security feature. So in the real world, it will be always private. But for this demo purpose, we just keep it public so that it is Amazon. We can easily, from my Windows machine, I can easily connect to that machine. Okay, so now let's talk about as machine is in the clouds, and I'm now at my home network, how I can connect to that system. So let's say this is type of scenario. This is my a cloud machine that we just developed right now, right? So it is AWS server. And my server name is what? Ubuntu something, right? Ubuntu 50. And here, and this is somewhere. So the IP address that we just mentioned, this is the IP address of that machine, correct? Now, I am sitting down somewhere in the world and my machine is here. So this is me. And between me and that server, this is internet, right? So this is internet, right? And that's why we are using public IP, right? And then you have noted that SSH port is open. So there is a firewall. Of course, there is something called firewall here. And that firewall, so let me draw a diagram here. So let's say this is the firewall, right? So this firewall, of course, block thing. But now if you notice that we already said firewall, hey, firewall, you open SSH port, right? You open HTTPS port. You open HTTP port. These are the ports. So SSH means port number 22. HTTPS means 443. And then HTTP means 80. So in the firewall point of view, we already told them that, okay, open this port for us so that anybody from the internet, they'll can log in. So let's say this is Bob from his machine. If he has a client, he can easily come through the internet and come to try to log into that system, right? So now I need something on my machine. So that's something called like a Unix client software, like a SSH type of software, client software. So you can use two type of software normally available. One is called PuTTY or PuTTY. So if you go to internet again, let me see. So if I go to internet and just download PuTTY, PuTTY. So you can easily download this type of PuTTY software. It is a download PuTTY. You can, or it's a very easy and simple thing, PuTTY software. Either you can look here, Windows 64 PuTTY. You can just download and install it. Or if you want just simple putty.exe, there is a 64 version. You can have it. Okay. So this is one software. But as it is a certificate base, so I recommend not instead of PuTTY, you can type another one called MOBA Extra, another free type of software. It supports that certificate, because now as you can see, if I want to log in, I need to provide that private key that that PAM file that I downloaded. So you see the mobile extram they have a mobile extram has a, like a home edition versus portable edition. There are two type of version, but they have a like a free version as well, right? So if you go to somewhere here, portable, okay, so let's say which one I should choose. Yeah, so if I say installer or home edition, maybe installer one, it will be installed to your machine. Okay, and this is also licensed version. So, but they also have a like free version as well. So I believe the one that I download, it is a free version. So in my case, I already have this MOVA. So once you have MOVA, and if I say just MOVA, so MOVA extram, oops, it's not here in my machine. So I thought I have, but look like I don't have. Okay, that's good. So I have now downloaded this version. So what I'm gonna do, I just go to my download folder. And this is the mobile extram. So just double click and you see that is an MSI. So just open it. It will install. Look, welcome to the mobile extram wizard. Next. Yes. Next. Next. And install. So this is the mobile extram version. And what is say? Source file, verify that it exists, that you can access it. Okay, yeah, look like in my machine, I have this dat file. So yeah, just like ignore this thing. Yeah, probably, I have this version before, then I uninstall, but I don't memorize. Okay, so let's see what happened. Yeah, so if I now type mobile, look here, after the installation, it created a shortcut on my desktop. It's a mobile extra. So just double click, let's see. Oops. File could not find, retry. Yeah, probably in my case, what happened, I just uninstall, right? And then I install it back again. So it doesn't clean up properly. But in your case, it will be straightforward because it didn't. Here you go. So now mobile extram open for me. This is a client software. So it is exactly a client software needs to communicate with the Unix system. Okay, the Unix system may be on my, let's say in the real world, somebody give me a virtual machine and I want to log in. I need PuTTY, I need mobile extram, this type of software to communicate that Unix system, right? Okay, so what to do? So now, so let's say on the left side, if you click the session button and you see there is an SSH. So if I click this SSH, and look here, it's asking me the remote host and the security system. And there is an advanced setting. So here, this is important. So if you remember that I copy in on my notepad that IP address, so this is my, but before that, I want to make sure that my system is up and running, right? So let's go back because last time we saw it is not up running yet. Here you go. Now it is running. Make sure it is running, right? It's statical. So when it's running, just click it here. It is ready to go. And also you can, before you go there, just as a best practice, there is a button called connect here. So it is not necessarily that you need like a PuTTY or mobile extram. You can easily launch your machine from the cloud, from the browser. So you see there is a connect button here. If I click this connect option, and in the right side, they're called connect. If I click now this connect button, and it should be able to connect to that system. So this is also another, because if you want to practice, you really do not need MOBA or PuTTY. You can easily get it from here. Look here. So this is, now I'm getting the same $sign as you can see. I type sudo space -s, and now I'm now getting the like a pound or hash symbol. So that means now I'm the administrator. So now we have two systems ready available to our system, right? Sudo -s, then I got the hash symbol. So it is AWS, and at the same time, I also have AWS, WSL. So look here, this is my WSL Unix that running on my Windows system, and this is my cloud, AWS. Okay. If you are come to up to this level, very much like you should be proud of yourself, because now you now know both technique, right? how to provision a machine using WSL option, how to provision a machine using the cloud platform. Okay. So once you are come there, if you want to explore yourself, let's say the mobile extram that I just show you, let me see. So now mobile extram, if I type that IP address here, 3 dot, and the username by default is Ubuntu. Anything that we provision in the AWS, I believe their default username equal to Ubuntu. Now look, there is no password option here. So instead of password, we make the private key. Look in the bottom, there is use private key. I click this checkbox, and there is a browse option. So if I click this browse option, and then I remember we create a folder called key, right? So C drive, and then key folder, or this is my PAM file. So you say, okay, this is my upload this PAM file here, and click OK. So I provide my public IP. Look, it is in the cloud. I'm now on my home network, right? So in the cloud, I'm on my home network. I just click here, click OK. And it asking me some acceptance. I say yes. Here you go. I'm now connected to my from my home machine using a client software called Putty or MOBA. I just connected to that cloud platform. This is the beauty of this thing. So now again, sudo space -s. You see now I got the prompt, right? I'm in the pound sign or head sign. Okay, so this is the beautiful way that how we can configure and provision a Unix system. Okay, so I hope you guys will practice this thing, and you'll be proud of yourself if you come to up to this level. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So now, as we understand how to install and configure Unix machine, in this case, in both option 2 and option 3, we explore. And as I mentioned earlier, and after that, you type apt-get update and apt-get upgrade. So let's do this way. So in my the cloud one that I already logged in. So here, there is a nice command here. You can easily type clear command. So when you type clear command, it will clean the screen for us, just like this, right? And then now type, okay, apt update. So now you can see it update the whole thing. Okay. So either I type apt-get update or just apt update. When it will take few minutes for sure. And here you go, it is done, update is done. So if I now clear my screen and I type apt upgrade, right? Upgrade, apt upgrade, right? So now it will take some time. It will probably take 4 or 5 minutes or even more than that. So what will happen, it will check all the packages, all the utilities that it has earlier. So all those utilities and packages up to date or not. If it is not up to date, then it will make them up to date. So it goes to the repository and then download the latest version or latest package, and then so that's why it takes some time. So we can easily minimize. Okay. So what after the installation, we type either apt-get update or apt-get upgrade. These two commands we have to run it. Okay. Okay, move on. Now, every Unix system, as I mentioned earlier, it is not only operating system, it is also a programming capability as well. And that's one of the best option, the best feature for Unix operating system. It is basically based on the C language. So developer can easily write the program using C language, C++ language, or even Java language, take whatever they like. It has a very good programming capability here. And they have a compiler. So compiler is a feature, like it normally convert human language into machine language. That's the purpose of the compiler. And this compiler is built in within the operating system. And it also has some browser, because it also support us graphical user interface, right? So if you want to go to graphically, so then in this case, they have a built-in browser called Firefox type of browser. And they have some email capability as well. But most important thing, the editor. Because as I mentioned earlier, Unix means CLI. command base. So now there is no mouse. We will not use any mouse over there, no left click, right click. Everything has to be done by the command prompt. So in Windows, we have a Notepad, we have a WordPad, we have a Microsoft Word. This type of, especially Notepad and WordPad, and in this type of software, we can use as an editor. We type something, save it, right? But in Unix system, also we need this type of editor because let's say I'm a programmer. I need to write my program or my code. So where to type it? I need some editor. So Unix has like a lot of editor, like the Vi editor. Vi editor is one of the very famous editor. Any interview, they will ask you this question: that are you familiar with the Vi editor? The Nano editor, Pico editor, Emacs editor. So there are multiple types of editors, but it is not necessarily that this editor are available all types of Unix system. But Vi editor is the only editor. This is common to everywhere. So if I using IBM Solaris, I mean the AIX or Oracle Solaris, or even Ubuntu or Red Hat, Vi editor works everywhere. So I highly recommend you. This is the one that definitely I'll cover in this video as well. So Vi editor, we have a built-in compilers. They have a programming capability over there, like a Perl, C, C++, etc. Right? So these are now, as it is a CLI base, so we are very much familiar with the keyboard here. So, and to be honest, a lot of times I found that a lot of people doesn't know the proper use of the keyboard. Look, in this picture, there are like a red color mark here. So Unix is very much depend on keyboard, and this keyboard has so many symbols. So here, I just highlighted some of them, not all. So you can see that there is a tilde sign on the top, right? So let me make it a little bigger. So here, this symbol is called tilde, as you can see, tilde. It is actually tilde indicate the home directory. So I can easily go to the home directory using pressing this button. Then you can see there is an explanation like @ sign, hash sign, $sign, percentage, caret, ampersand, and then string. These all symbols are very much useful in the Unix system. On the other hand, you see there is underscore. There are 3 type of bracket here. And there is a 3 type of colon, like a semicolon, like a colon, semicolon, and the backquote, something we call backquote. So this backquote actually here, this symbol here. And then another symbol is very much useful in Unix system that is called filtering. This filtering is on the top of your enter button. If you look here, this, there is like a vertical type of symbol here. This is called filtering. Like I want something, I do not want everything, right? I want some specific thing. So we do the filtering. Very much like a very useful symbol in Unix world. We use this symbol a lot. So, and then let's say less than sign, greater than sign, those type of. So here, look, a strict means it is called a wildcard character. Sometimes we call wildcard character. It matches any one character other than the new line. It means, okay, if I say a strict, that means everything. In other words, called everything, right? And then this is the caret. It matches the start of the string. Look, if I say caret something, H into hello. So you say, okay, start any line is start with H. Show me only that line. And the $sign, it meant the end of the string. And then, then there is a this type of parenthesis, as you can see, that 4 types of bracket. The parenthesis, the square bracket, curly brackets, and angle brackets. So these are all very important, like a keyboard symbol that we use when we type the command, especially when we develop our shell script. Okay. So these are all useful. So that's why to become a subject matter of a Unix system, we need to make sure that we are familiar with this symbol in the Unix system. Okay, so I just highlighted the mostly used one, but if you want to go to advanced level, there are a lot of other, we call something called Unix it is called registry kind of thing, right? Unix res edit. So that in other word called regex, right? So it is a expression, Unix expression is one of them is important feature, and there are a lot of expression value. And but again, some are basic. So these are the basic, and some are advanced level. So more you go through, you will be familiar with those advanced level expression value as well. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now as we have in Unix, and we now probably now ready at this moment to practice some useful command that I use in our day-to-day activity. So already we are familiar some command. You see that we type sudo command, we type clear command, right? So these are all command, and we also type apt update, apt get update. So these are all our Unix command. So let's move on. So now if I go back to our the Unix that we have here, I believe the MOBA already completed. Oh, here it is a stop here. So let me, okay, so I think our done here. So I just type clear command here. I'm now using the like a cloud one, okay? Or you can, if you like, I can use either one. I have WSL here, or I can use the cloud one. But I think better is cloud one. So now if I am here, the first command I type here, pwd, present working directory, where I am right now. You say, okay, you are under Ubuntu folder. Ubuntu is under home folder is under root. So this is the folder or file system architecture in Unix. So in Unix, whenever you remember, we mentioned earlier that by default, it has a lot of folder structure. So it is under home, because now I log in as a Ubuntu. If I type, it create a home directory for me, and that home directory under the name of the user. So in this case, user equal to Ubuntu, and home equal to home is like a subfolder, which that folder is under root. So it is similar like a c:/home/Ubuntu. So this is the by default. So if I go to my this is my WSL one, right? So if I type here, same thing, pwd, look here, you say, hey, you create so here in this case, Nizam ADM. Remember, I log in here as a Nizam ADM as a user, right? So it create a folder for me called Nizam ATM, which is under home is under root. So these are the side by side. I'm just trying to say, keeping it here, right? So this is PW. Then I say, okay, who am I? He say you are root, because I log in here as a root, right? I mean Ubuntu, I make myself as a root. So now it's okay. So who PWD, who am I? And I say, okay, now can I create a folder? So let's say just for play around, like mkdir. I can create a folder, let's say called lab1 and lab2. Let's say, so I create two folders here, mkdir command. And you have noticed all the command I'm typing the lowercase. Okay, so I create two folder, lab1, and then I go to that folder, cd lab1. So now if I type pwd command, look, it's telling me, hey, you look at this path. You say you are under lab1. Lab1 is under Ubuntu. Ubuntu is under home. Home is under root. So this is the hierarchy thing. Right. So now next step, can I create a file? So if you just compare with the Windows system, look, this is exactly same thing you guys are familiar already, right? So if I go to C drive and double click here, it's under C drive, I right click, I create a new, I create a folder here, right? Any folder, and folder name here, let's say, let's say lab, right? And then I want to save some file under this lab. So this is the best practice in the real world. Definitely when you save the file, we save it under a specific folder so that we can find out later on that this file is under HR folder, this file is under accounting folder, this file is under management folder, right? So if you can manage this thing in a proper management way, so it is why we are doing this thing, what the goal, what is the purpose, so that we can retrieve this folder very easily and efficiently, right? So, and now I am under lab1, so I want to create a file. So in a Unix system, I can create a file in multiple ways. There are a lot of ways to create a file here. The easiest way is just type touch command.
If you type the touch command, touch will create a empty file for me. So touch f1.txt as an example. It is, oops, pouch, I did the wrong command, I guess. Then file1.txt. There you go. So now I created one file created, just touch. Now, so what is inside file1.txt? It is empty right now. So to create a empty file, you just type the touch command, like a touch command. So now if you want to view the folder, like okay, what is inside lab1? You type ns, another command called ls. So if you type ls, look, he say, okay, you have a file1.txt under lab1, right? Because right now I am under lab1. So now I say, okay, great. Now can I edit this file? Yeah, you can edit. You have to open an editor. So I can use Vi editor, I can use nano editor. So let's say in this case, nano editor. So it's a nano, then file1.txt. It open this file in editor mode. Look, here you go. So it open another black window for me. And here I can type hello. I can type my whatever, let's say, language I have, right? Right, I type whatever I want. When I'm done, look in the bottom, it says how to save it, Control X. So if I press Control X, save modified buffer, I say yes, and press enter, done. Now I'm back again to my prompt, but now file1.txt has some data inside of it, right? So now I say, okay, now I want to view what is inside of that file. So again, you can type nano and then file name, you can see. So nano command is an editor. So edit command, this editor will give you two function, right? One, you can view the file, the content of the file. At the same time, you can add or modify whatever you want, nano. But let's say now you want to just view the file. So this is a very famous command called cat command, cat file1.txt. When I open cat file1.txt, it will open in a kind of a read-only thing. Look here. Cat file, it just show you hello world, this is my Unix lab. Whatever the language or the content of the file1.txt, it shows me that information. So what we did, we created an empty file using touch command. Then we, using the nano command, we just open in an edit mode that file and type some language, save it. And then using cat command, we can easily view the content of that file. So in my, when we go further here in this video and the next video, you'll see a lot of commands, a lot of file I need to open what is inside of this file. So cat command is very famous command. When I say famous command in terms of very mostly used command, like, if I go to interview, it's okay, give me the 10 most used command that you use in your project. So cat command probably will be one of them. Okay, so just because we need to see what is, I'm a developer or some other developer write a code, I want to view what is inside of it. So I say, okay, cat file name, and I can view the file, right? Okay, great. So now now I want to copy this file, let's say to lab1 to lab2. So let's create some more file here. So let's say touch file2 .txt, right? So now if I type ls command, you see that I have file1 and file2, two files I have under lab1. So now I say, okay, I want to copy these two files from lab1 to lab2. So to do this thing, the Unix has a command called cp, copy command. So copy source and target or destination. So source is where is the source. So remember, if you do not provide the source information to the machine will not understand. So the source equal to like this path, right? /home lab1. This is your source. So now if I say, okay, this is my source, right? So this is my source. I say, okay, go to this source. And then after that, copy everything start.txt, all the text file that you have. Or you can say the start.start. Like star means everything. Remember we mentioned that wildcard, right? Copy everything under lab1 to where? So it's okay, to space and target. And target equal to, let's say, okay, under lab2. So it's okay, hey, Unix system, copy cp, copy everything that source location to my destination location, and I give the full path. right? So if I press enter, oops, here, and they say no such file or directory, okay. So it doesn't support that. Is it not that location? I think here. Okay, so I said start.txt. So let's see what happened. I thought it is that. Oh, I know what I mean. I did a mistake. I put the this symbol. So I was very quick. So, there will be other way slide, right? Start.start or start.txt. Now it should be okay. So you see that symbol matter, right? The forward slash and backward slide, right? So now I say, hey, copy everything or every start.txt file to from this location to lab2 folder. So now if I, let's say, type cd space dot dot, look, I'm going back one step backward, cd space dot dot. So now I am under Ubuntu folder, and then I go to cd lab2. Oops, it's not under there. I thought, yeah, cd, okay, cd. This is the case sensitive. I have to put L capital, right? Now, if I type lab2 and then type ls, look here, now this both file under lab2. I didn't create any file under lab2. We just copy the content from lab1 now to under lab2. This is the beauty of this thing. Okay. So now we learn how to copy, how to, navigate. So now let's say I want to delete a file from here. I just type rm space I want to delete file1.txt. So file1.txt. So if I type ls, look now, file1 is removed, right? If I want to delete the entire folder, let's say if I go back to cd Ubuntu, cd space dot dot, cd dot dot means if you want to go one step backward. So in this case, I am under lab2 folder. So if I want to go one step backward means Ubuntu, I have to type cd space dot dot. So now I am under Ubuntu folder. Now I say, okay, rm space -r. -r means I want to delete the whole folder because there is a lab2 is a folder, right? And that lab2 can contain maybe 100 files. So instead of one by one deleting one file and file1, file2, instead of that, some scenarios, okay, I want to delete the entire folder. So what to do? rm space -r and then the name of the folder. So now if I type ls, look, there is no lab2. Lab2 is gone. Only lab1 is here. Okay. So this is exactly we have done here. So if you go back, this is the command we just discussed now. Okay. So we talk about clear command, pwd command, man command. Oh, there is a man command. So man command is a very important command. So let's say every command has a manual. Man means manual. So let's say we type here, let's say dir command, mkdir, right? So mkdir has a lot of options. So if you type man mkdir, it will give you the kind of a manual of mkdir. So you say mkdir/m/p. These are sometimes we call parameter or like a argument, right? So these are the argument or parameter we need in many cases. So every command, Unix command, has this type of argument, but you do not need to memorize. You just type like a man and space. Remember in the WSL command, we said WSL space -help, right? That also give you a manual. So here also, like a man and a space, the whatever the command you are interested. And if you press Q, it will bring back from that manual. Q means quit. It come back again here. Okay. Okay, great. So, so now we also learn about the manual. Let's go back to our slide. We talk about clear, pwd, ben, ls, mkdir, cd, touch, cat. Now Y editor. So let's talk about Y editor. So Y editor is a very important editor and very widely used editor in the real world. So if I clear my screen, so what it does, it is an editor, but there is no mouse, no key, like you have to type everything in command. So let's say here, I go to my CD lab 1 again. Right now I have, I think, two files, file 1 and file 2, right? So let's create another file using Y. I type Y, And then let's say in this case, file number is file3.txt. When I type by open by editor or by space file name, right? When I open, look here, what happened? It opened another black window, just like a nano, but you cannot type it right now. So there is a, you have to convert your keyboard from command mode to the text mode. So there are two modes here, command mode and text mode. So when you inside that editor, by default, you are command mode. If you cannot type it anymore, just like in nano editor, you can type it, right? You do not need any action, but here you have to convert your keyboard from command mode to text mode. How to do that? So remember these three key on your keyboard, A or I or O. This is the three key is responsible to convert your keyboard from command mode to text mode. So in this case, I always remember I means insert, right? So I say I, then now in the bottom you say insert. That now I can type it. I can say hello, right? Hello world. I can type whatever I want, right? So once I done this thing, let's say now my typing is completed. It can be, let's say I'm a developer, I'm a programmer, I'm writing some program here. So I open a by editor, I write my program, my code here. Once I completed my writing my code, then I have to save it. But now I'm in text mode. So save means it is a command. So I have to again bring my keyboard from text mode to command. How to do that? Press escape key. So if I press escape key, then it is again come back to the command. Then I type colon WQ, that means save and exit. Now I come back again to the prompt. So I now type ls, look, there are three files I have created. File 1 I using touch command, file 2 I using nano command, file 3 I created by using the y command. So now you are familiar how to create a file in the Unix system. So by is a very important. So let's say in the interview, are you familiar with by? Yes, by is an editor. By default, it has two mode, command mode and text mode. So if we open a file using by, like a by file, file3.txt as an example, by default, we are command mode. We have to press A, I, or O to convert text command mode to text mode, and then type our code. Once it is done, then we have to convert back again to the command mode from text mode by escape key, by pressing the escape key. And then save and exit colon WQ. And this is the very basic understanding about the by editor. Okay. So now it is done. So what else can we create file other way? Yes, there is another command called echo. So echo command also help, like echo hello world. You type something. So when I type echo hello world, it like echo means show me, display me. Look, computer show you hello world, right? So it's okay. I want to redirect this thing, echo, just echo hello world, right? And then redirect sign. Remember, this is the redirection that we talk about. This is a symbol in the keyboard. And now I say, okay, file 4.txt. So I can easily create a file from a output of a command. Like actually echo is a command. So whatever the output of this command, I say, okay, you create a file with the output of the first command, like whatever the command here. So if I press enter, now if you type ls command, you see the file 4 is there. If you want to see what is inside, so okay, we know that file 4.txt cat command, right? You say hello world. So that means the output of echo now went to inside of file 4.txt. That now the content of file 4.txt is hello world. And that so now you see that there are multiple ways we can create the file within a Unix system. And this is very much important. So regardless my job architecture, like I can be a developer, I can be a project manager, or maybe a security officer, or maybe I'm a DevOps engineer, right? So all we need this type of knowledge and skills. So how to create file, how to create a code, how to view the code, etc. Right? So I think this is useful. So let's go back. I believe a lot of command we already covered. So cat by editor echo command. So cp move rm cut. Now let's say cut, head, tail, this type of command. So let's go back to this MOVA. Okay. So now, this is another cut means like a normally cut, like, the English word, right? Cut something from something, right? So, so to do the demo, let's create a good file here. Let's say maybe I can use nano editor. Nano, let's say file 5. Let's say I can say inventory.txt. I'm just making some real world scenario. Nano inventory.txt. So I press enter. So they say, okay, I created database here called name. That let's say I press tab button. That let's say email and phone. Then let's say location. So name equal to Mike. Mike equal email Mike at abc.com. Phone let's say 1234556. Location equal to New York. And let's say John at let's say XYZ, right? And just give some fake information, right? Let's say it is let's say Toronto, right? So this way, let's say I have 1000 data here. This is a kind of inventory file. I press Ctrl X, Y, done. Make clear screen. So I say cat file5.txt. Oops, cat. I did it wrong, I guess. No. What is my file name? Oh, inventory, my bad. Sorry. Cat inventory.txt, right? So you see that this is a nice, he say, okay, you have a name, email, phone, location. These are the 4 kind of a tab, right? So now using the cut command, you can easily do a lot of stuff here. So first of all, if you remember in the keyboard, I showed you the filtering, like a filtering. So I say, first of all, I say, okay, open the cat command, cat that file inventory, and then pipe. Now a space pipe. This is the filtering. After that, I use the cut command. Go to cut. Hey, cut. You open field number. Let's say 1 and 2. So I say, okay, so there are 2 commands. One is cat, one is cut. So cat command, first it will open the inventory file and it will keep that information into memory. So memory is a basket, it is a container, right? It will contain that information within memory. And then cut command will go there. Cut command, so okay, I want to cut it field number like a column number 1 and column number 2. F means field. So if I press enter now, look here, it shows me name and email. You see, so cut command has a capability that it can cut some syntax. Some like F means filter, C means character. So if you now type ben cut, it will give you the manual of cut command. And if you just C means character, DF means the fill list, right? So you can read it out and they give a lot of example for you as well. Okay. So press Q to quit it. So cut command is a very useful command that we can easily, find out something from an inventory file or from some kind of database, right? It is when you go to the advanced level, this type of command is very much useful. So here we learned 2 things. One is that how to use cut command, and also most important, how to do filtering. So we can easily we create a file, and that file, let's say, contain thousands of things, but I do not want thousands of things. I want something specific. I say, okay, cut this thing for me. And that exactly it is. Okay. Okay, let's clear this. Another important command is the kind of a grab command. So let's say I want to grab something from some specific, like a grab is kind of a finds, like let's say you have a Microsoft Word, right? And you type 1-page document there, and it's okay, I want to find something on that document. There are, let's say, 5,000 words, and you are looking for something called, let's say, let's say project. There is a word called project. So it's okay, fine. Tell me where is the project folder file. I mean, project word. So your computer will find it for you. Every command, I mean, the utility has this type of thing, right? So if you open, let's say, Notepad, click edit, you see there is a called find, right? So find what? Whatever you find. If you have that word here, it will find out for you, right? So grep is almost similar type of idea. It has the capability to find something for us. As an example, so in Unix, there is a to file is very important to memorize that keeps the user ID and password information. So there's one file called cat etc password. The file name is password. It is under etc folder and etc under root. So it's okay. Show me what is inside of the password file. Okay, it shows you all the user and information as you can see, right? The root and all those things, right? So in our advanced level, we need this type of. So now you know there are a built-in file called password, which is under etc. And now let's say I want to grab something because it might in the real world, it might have, let's say, maybe 1,000 lines like this. So I want to find something from here. So you can say, okay, if I say, then I type pipe grab root. So I'm telling computer, okay, grab root from this parameter from this file. So again, same idea. The cat command open the files, then it will keep that information into memory in a some kind of a variable, and then grep command will go there. So grep is another command, right? So the piping here in this is called piping, like filtering. The output of the first command will be the input of the second command. The first command here is cat, and grep is the second command. So cat command, whatever the output of it, right? The first command, it will keep in the memory as a, let's assume it is a container. It keep everything under that container. And the second command go there, and second command is okay, whatever I was told, I have to do the same thing. So you say, okay, do you have something called root? If you say, look, he didn't show me everything. He just showed me this line because he found a line called root. It contains root, and he showed me only that line. So this is the beautiful feature about the grep command. Okay, similar like a find command. So find something for me, grab something for me. So these are very useful utility and in the Unix system. Okay. So then let's say in this case, let me clear the screen. There is also head and tail command. So if it to head, let's say -5. Just first type head and then say, okay, etc password. Let's say, I don't know, it will show you. If I type here, look here, when I say head space etc password, it by default, look here, how many lines it shows you. I say head. Head means, top, right? Like a heading, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. By default, it shows you the first 10 lines of that file. So my file name is password file, but now it shows you the head. When you say head, show me only the first 10 line default. So if it's okay, I want to see only 5 lines. So I think head -5, I guess. Now it shows you only the 5 lines of that file. So this is the head. Sometimes we need this thing, especially another command called tail. So if you now say tail, and then, etc. In this case, I'm using etc password as a file. And again, same idea, it shows you the bottom 10 lines, right? Head and tail. This type of command we need, especially when you do some troubleshooting. Let's say I want something is installing and I want to read the log file. So when the installation is going on, let's say it takes 1 hour and I'm the administrator, I want to read the log file. So I just tell -10 etc that file name, that log file name, and it keep telling me what is going on, what is the last 10 lines. So I always remember, because in the first line, I don't need anymore to read because it's every second it updating and all the update goes to the lower of the file, right? And I want to say, okay, what is going on so show me every 1 minute later, I run this command, like a tail and that file name, I can see what is the latest information, right? So this is a head and tail, also another nice option. Then another option is called WC. WC is a word count. So if I say word count, Then let's say, okay, what count? Let's say, what is our file name? Let's say inventory.txt, right? Inventory.txt. How many information is there? He said 3, 12, 84. So this is means line. How many lines are there? Like the first one, 3 means 3 lines are there. How many characters are there and how many word is there? Sorry, how many words and 84 means how many characters? That means WC space minus L, then inventory dot. They have 3 options. So if you say, okay, show me the how many lines in this file, they say 3. 3 means 3 line. That means if you say, okay, how many word in this file, how many word, number of word, it shows me 12 word, I guess. Yeah, 12 word. And then it's okay, I want to see how many character you have. See, you say, okay, you have, it should show me 84 character. So it is 84. So again, WC another way. It's not really too much like in the day-to-day practice. I don't think so it is very much needed. But again, nice to know that detail. There is a command called WC. Okay, great. Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed. So here, let me see how many things. I believe we cover everything here. Yeah. And so in this video, what just summarize what we learned. We learned what is the overview of operating system, overview of Unix operating system. And here mostly we learned Unix is a case sensitive operating system. Everything has to be lowercase. And it has a CLI. Unix means CLI, command line interface. And then we learn how to install, provision a Unix machine using WSL feature. At the same time, we also learn how to provision a Unix machine using AWS cloud option. And both options are available, and I highly recommend you should practice in both ways. And then some useful commands. We didn't cover everything in this video. It will cover next. All remaining commands will cover in Unix video number 2. So I highly recommend to watch that video as well. So that's it, guys, for today. Thank you. See you in the next video.